Hello, my legendary viewers. I know it's been at least like 2 months since I've uploaded anything. Sorry about that. Uh, we're just doing a tier list on uh, all specs and classes for the raid and Mythic Plus. So, without further ado, let's get it on. And one warning about this video. I'm going through the list on Wowhead and Icy Veins, just a little bit of combined. But whatever I say in this video or whatever you see on any website, it may say, like I said, right now Assassination Rogue is top tier, it's number 1. But that don't mean you have to play Assassination Rogue to be the best. Okay, whatever you feel like playing and whatever you feel like is the best class to you, you play that. And you play that to your best ability. All the stuff is just based on flavor of the month, utility sometimes, but it just don't go off skill. Now, the nerfs and the buffs may affect it, but at the end of the day, if you know what you're doing with your class and you feel like you're having fun, that's the ultimate goal of World of Warcraft, is to have fun. So let's go on with number 1 right now is Assassination Rogue, and it says, for the reason that this is top tier is because of currently one of the strongest damage profiles across all DPS specs, and the reason why they're top tier is because of their single target damage, which is really needed in Mythic Plus for the bosses. And according to Icy Veins, they think that they're going to be outperforming any other class in Mythic Plus. So, yeah, I don't really say much on the Assassination Rogue. It just says, Assassination Rogue received a healthy amount of changes leading to the War Within expansion, along with 2 brand new but disappointing hero talents, Deathstalker and Fatebound, and a new tier set. Their 2-piece bonus will trigger once their bleeds deal damage, granting a chance to gain Foul Tincture for 8 seconds, increasing poison damage by 1% per stack up to 10 stacks. Additionally, the 4-piece bonus will trigger once they have 5 or more stacks of Vile Tincture, causing Garrett, Rupture, and Crimson Tempest to deal 10% increased damage. So that's basically why Assassination Rogue is at the top right now. Again, play what you want to play. Basically, their utility. They have a lot of utility. Their Iron Wire enables Garrett to silence an enemy, and it deals 15 reduced damage for 8 seconds when they use it. They have Weapon Poisonings, which is just basically, it helps with damage dealing. They have Gouge, which is a airborne irritant. You have the choice between AoE stop or powerful short cooldown single target stop. You have Blind, which basically they can't attack you and they don't know where they're going. Kidney Shot is a stun. Sap is a CC ability. Cheap Shot is a single target stun effect. Shiv is an enraged effect dispel. Shroud of Concealment is a mass invisibility effect, which is basically to where there's just going to be this big circle around the rogue, and anyone who is inside that circle will be stealthed like the rogue. So that's really good if you're trying to skip a pack for Mythic Plus. Tricks of the Trade redirects all threat you cause to a selected party member, lasting 6 seconds, and distract when used. It stops any creatures from moving. So those are the core utilities that Assassination Rogue has. And that's basically all they have. They don't look like they have any cons either. So next we have is the Augmentation Evoker. Augmentation Evoker received a fair share of changes in the leading War Within expansion, along with 2 brand new hero talents, Chrono Warden and Scale Commander, and a new tier set. The 2-piece bonus will increase upheaval damage by 30%, which further increases your next 2 eruption casts by 30%. Additionally, the 4-piece bonus allows Ebon Might to increase your primary stats by an additional 0.4% of your own of your own every 2 seconds. It remains active up to 2%. Augmentation Evoker is looking fantastic because of the basically just because they buffed Upheaval. Upheaval is basically this AoE thing. It's like the longer you hold down your mouse, I'm pretty sure it just a different tier of damage. I've played Evoker once, but not really Augmentation Evoker. Their utility. They have a lot of utility. They have Blessing of the Bronze, which basically is a party buff. It basically reducing the cooldown of major movement abilities for the party members by 15% for 1 hour. Ebon Might. They have Ebon Might, Chrono Ward, President's Tail Swipe, Wing Buffet. Buffet, sorry, not Buffet. I'm kind of hungry here. But yeah, I'm not going to go through all the utilities for Augmentation Evokers because all Augmentation Evokers is a support class and they have a hell of a lot of utility. So again, if you want to see what I'm looking at and what I'm referring to, I go to Icy Veins and go to tier list and just go from there. Next is Frost Decay. Frost Decay received a significant attention at the start of the beta testing, and like every specialization so far, inherited 2 brand new hero talents, Deathbringer and Rider of the Apocalypse. And a new tier set, the 2-piece enables all Runic power spending abilities to deal 8% more damage, while the 4-piece triggers when consuming Runic power, giving a chance to increase your strength by 10% for 8 seconds. So, their utilities is not a long one. They have Anti-Magic Zone, which basically places a bubble on the ground, and it shields you or any party member from magical damage. They have Death Grip, which repositions the enemy at any point, and it also kicks them. So, like if someone is like using a magical ability that is kickable, if you just use Death Grip, it interrupts them and brings them to you. Raise allies, a res, battle res. Abomination Limb, every 1 second an enemy is pulled close to you. Blinding Sleep, AoE Disturb Effect, Insidious Chill. Reduces the auto attack speed of your target by 5%, stacking up to 4 times. Control Undead, mind control an undead enemy to fight by your side. A 5-second single target stun, and Vestigial Shell, adding anti-magic shell on 2 nearby allies. So, and next is, let's take a look here. This is for Mythic Plus, yada yada yada. So now, those were the top tier. It goes by top tier, best candidates, impressive, good, and that's it. Those are the only ranks. Next is Elemental Shaman, is as the first place best candidate. Elemental Shamans received a much needed rework, new raid utility, 2 new hero choices, Farseer and Stormbringer, as well as a new tier set. The 2-piece bonus increases Elemental Blast and Earthquake damage by 25%, while the 4-piece bonus rewards you with a chance of 5% increase crit strike chance and 10% increase crit damage every time you spend Melee Storm. The complete rework of Elemental Shaman, combined with the introduction of the brand new hero talent choices in the War Within and the unique raid utility Sky Fury, transformed the spec, sadly one of the best DPS specs on beta. Your damage profile holds an immensely strong AoE damage profile, frankly one of the best. The ability to have major cooldowns in each pack due to cooldown reduction in your toolkit helps you solidify the top spot for now. While their single target is not their strongest asset, the spec received better defensiveness from Stone Bulwark, Totem, Seasoned Winds, and brand new utility which fits perfectly for M+ Contact, Elemental Resistance, and Jet Stream. Overall, we believe that Elemental Shaman is one of the best range option leading into the first season of Mythic Plus. When I'm looking at the utilities, they have a lot of utilities, but the core utilities is Sky Fury, Bloodlust, Earth Elemental, Earthquake, and Wind Rush Totem. Next is the Arcane Mage. Arcane Mage received a massive amount of changes, 2 brand new talents, Spell Slinger and Sun Fury, as well as a new tier set. 2-piece increases the damage of Arcane Blast and Arcane Barrage by 6%, while the 4-piece enables Arcane Blast or Arcane Barrage to have a 5% chance to make your next Arcane Barrage deal 20% increased damage and generates 4 Arcane Charges. Arcane Mages received a lot of changes from the Dragonflight to the Warth, and luckily leaving them in such better state compared to how they were in Dragonflight. They are even easier than before, apparently. Their burst and sustained single target is amazing, as well as their retaining their unique damage on demand AoE profile. Just like any mage spec, they have some of the best party-wide utility and mob control, and on top of this, they are one of the most durable specs in the game. The rankings of Arcane can fluctuate depending on the key level, as well as being one of the key features of creating the God comp together with Augmentation Evoker. So basically what that's saying is if you stack Arcane Mage and Augmentation Evoker in the same group, you're most likely going to succeed because of how meta they are. Their core utilities are Arcane Intellect, 5% extra intellect for the whole party. Time Warp is a Bloodlust. Polymorph is a single target CC effect. And it's the same for Frost Mage. Frost Mage enjoyed several rounds of changes paired with 2 brand new hero talent choices, Frostfire and Spell Slinger. And a new tier set, the 2-piece increases Ice Lance damage by 8%, while the 4-piece enables the damage dealt by Fingers of Frost enhanced Ice Lances to invoke Frigid Pulse, dealing frost damage to nearby targets. Reduced damage beyond 8 targets. Frost Mage is currently in a sweet spot between fun to play and overall decent shape, as the balance between all powers seem equal. Not only are you one of the most durable DPS specs, but you also have one of the best M+ utilities from a DPS. Depending on what key levels and group comp, your rankings will fluctuate, but will be high in the rankings. Overall, we like how this spec plays, and if the casters are back on the menu to be part of the meta club, then most definitely a Mage's Arcane Intellect will be a must. The cons, we actually have some cons for this one. If you pair this with a God comp, Augmentation Evoker, or Vengeance Demon Hunter, they will climb the rankings of the way to the top tier, and I'm pretty sure the same utility. And then we have Fire Mage, so Arcane, Frost, and Fire going down the list. Fire Mage received a massive amount of changes, 2 brand new hero talents, Frostfire and Sun Fury, as well as a new tier set. The 2-piece increases the damage of your Phoenix Flames by 10%, which increases to 25% on the primary target. In addition, your 4-piece triggers after dealing damage, giving Phoenix Flames a 10% chance to return to you, refunding 1% of the cooldown of Phoenix Flames, and granting you 6% increased spell damage for 10 seconds. Fire Mages is the spec that received the most positive changes since the start of the first Worthen season, and ended up being once again one of the best range choices this season. Your single target is fantastic, while your AoE damage is getting much better thanks to the most recent buffs. Although, just like Mage specs so far, one of the best group-wide M+ utilities, they still require some time to ramp up, especially if you are playing Mastery Ignite, before they achieve their full damage. Hence why we always recommend this spec to be considered highly on the higher level keys. Overall, a massive improvement since the start of the season, which helped them climb to the top of the bracket, coming all the way down from last place. Next is the Balanced Druid. Balanced Druid received a massive amount of changes through the beta cycles, paired with 2 brand new hero choices, Elun's Chosen and Keeper of the Grove, and a new tier set. The 2-piece will increase the damage of Star Swords and 10% Starfall by 14%. In addition, the 4-piece will grant Eclipse Lunar and Eclipse Solar to increase the astral power that Wrath generates by 2 and Starfire by 5. Balanced Druid is one of the specs that had the most changes throughout Alpha and Beta, leading to the Season 1 of Mythic Plus and War. Then, although the specs may not appear impressive in lower keys, it becomes increasingly formidable as the key levels increases. If you use your cooldowns effectively in M+, you can achieve exceptional damage, primarily in AoE situations. In addition, you will have the better survivability in the Worthen expansion while retaining your valuable utility. Overall, the most recent buffs to the spec, they will be much stronger and climb a few spots on our rankings. The cons, it takes some time for the spec to ramp up. It can cause significant damage. This means that the performance of the balance druid will improve as the mobs live longer. The core utilities are Mark of the Wild, which is a versatility buff for the party. Solar Beam is an 8-second AoE silence, and Entangling Roots, a single target root effect. Next is Enhancement Shami. Received a minor amount of changes, 2 new hero talent choices, Totemic and Stormbringer, and a brand new tier set leading to the Season 1 Mythic Plus in the War Within. The 2-piece bonus will increase the damage of Storm Strike, Lava Lash, Ice Strike, and Crash Lightning by 15%. In addition, the 4-piece triggers once you activate Pharaoh Spirit, summoning an extra Pharaoh Spirit. At last, the old Wind Fury totem will be retired for a brand new raid-wide utility, Sky Fury. Enhancement Shamans have finally received the changes they were hoping for, with 3 extra spec specific talents and much needed quality of life changes brought to them. Their damage profile is now in a much better state, but with a much better AoE damage packet, especially against more targets. Thanks to their Stormbringer hero talents, Tempest, their single target, is also in great shape and previously addressed. In addition, a previous weakness of their durability has been further bolstered following the new expansion, as they several new ways to tackle dangerous encounters in any scenario: Seasoned Wind, Stone Bulwark, and Totem and Elemental Resistance. Their cons: most recent nerfs to beat the spec will make them a few spots down their rankings, but will remain a solid choice for any group looking to be a melee damage dealer in their composition. Their utilities are Sky Fury, Bloodlust, Sundering, and Earth Elemental. Next is Ret Pallies, and this is my main right here. And whatever I'm about to say about Ret Pallies on here is probably going to be different in my own opinion, just because I joke around with this sometimes. I say that Ret Pallies are the class and spec for retards, because all you gotta do is press a little button and you're in first place. So, Ret Pallies received a dozen notable changes leading to the War Within expansion, including brand new hero talents, Templar and Herald of the Sun. And a new tier set, the 2-piece will increase the damage of Blade of Justice by 15% and the damage of Wake of Ashes by 10%. In addition, the 4-piece grants you an 8-second of 10% increased damage once you use Wake of Ashes. Ret Pallies have seen a fair share of changes throughout the beta cycles, with one of the most notable changes being a rework of how their mastery works. Their current AoE burst damage profile is incredible, just like the last couple of seasons in Dragonflight. They retain their signature group-wide utilities for a DPS through No More Retribution Aura, which is a variable asset for anyone who wants to play the spec. They poses excellent defensive options in case of danger, and is considered one of the easiest specs to play in the current iteration of World of Warcraft. I agree with that. Like I said, it's pretty easy to play. You just click a few buttons. If you know what you're doing, you're in first place. Their core utilities are Devotion Aura, Hammer of Justice, Lay of Hands, Intercession. Next is the Affliction Warlock. Affliction Warlock receives a complete rework paired with 2 brand new talent choices, and it is Hellcaller and Soul Harvester. A new tier set, the 2-piece will increase the damage of Malefic Rapture by 5% and its crit strike chance by 10%, while the 4-piece enables Malefic Rapture to have a chance to increase the damage dealt by your Agony, Corruption, and Unstable Affliction by 15% for 8 seconds. I don't really know anything about Affliction Warlock. I haven't really mained or played a Warlock before, so most of this is coming from icy veins. The complete overhaul of Affliction Warlocks have made them a menace, consisting of great single target, fantastic burst, and sustained AoE damage. Previously one of the weakest specs, they are now much in better shape and more flexibility in builds. A strong single target build, amazing hybrid options, and heavy AoE if needed. Additionally, they now are more durable and have better utility, especially if you choose Hellcaller's Curse of the Satyr, a 2-in-1 curse, and overall have a new rotation that replaces the boring Seed of Corruption spam. Overall, we believe Affliction Warlocks to be one of the best casters in the season. Their cons is Vile Taint windows are not covering the full duration of Agony, making it harder to maintain all dots on the targets. You have to manually extend them or drop the stacks of Agony and wait for Vile Taint cooldown to return. Their utilities are Create Healthstone, Soulstone, Demonic Gateway, Curse of Tongues, Curse of Weakness, and Demon Summoning. Next is the Unholy Death Knight, which received a massive changes since the start of the alpha/beta testing. Along brand new hero talents is the Rider of the Apocalypse and Sand Lane. And a new tier set, the 2-piece will passively increase the damage of your minions by 8%, while the 4-piece will trigger once you summon a minion, further increasing your haste by 2% up to 8% for 8 seconds. Their cons is the biggest drawback of the spec is that you can only fully unleash its maximum potential by perfectly managing your cooldowns, which is only possible when playing with a pre-made group. The ramp up for the exceptionally strong AoE profile must be planned to get most of it out of the spec. Their utility is Anti-Magic Zone, Death Grip, and Raise Ally and Null. Demonology Warlocks received a healthy amount of changes paired with 2 brand new hero talent choices, Diabolist and Soul Harvester, and a new tier set. The 2-piece bonus increases the primary demon's damage by 5% and your Shadow Bolt increases by 50%. Jesus. The 4-piece bonus enables Shadow Bolt to have a chance to enrage your primary Felguard, increasing their damage up to their next Legion Strike by 300%. Demonology Warlocks received a good amount of changes leading into the war with an expansion, making the current M+ performance great. Their damage profile did get a big hit and is now more in line with the rest of the specializations. They will retain their good sustained single target / AoE damage, but will no longer be in the category of overpowered. In terms of utility, they will keep their unique M+ package while being one of the most durable ranged DPS. Their utilities are Create Hellstone, Soulstone, Demonic Gateway, Axe Toss, Curse of Tongues, Curse of Weakness, and Demon Summoning. Okay, now we're rolling into the impressive specs. And the first one is Shadow Priest, which received barely any changes since the start of the beta testing, and like every spec so far, inherited 2 brand new hero talents, Archon and Void Weaver, and a new tier set. The 2-piece will increase their duration of Devouring Plague by 1 second, while the 4-piece enables Devouring Plague to increase your damage done by 2% for 10 seconds. Multiple applications may overlap. For the majority of Dragonflight, Shadow Priest has been considered one of the most dominant DPS specializations, primarily for their incredible damage profile, which excels in both AoE and single target. This will continue to be the case, although not to the same extreme performance they had in the last few seasons. Their utility and defensiveness remain strong, which is a positive for the spec, as both factors are considered valuable. Overall, we expect their performance to only improve the higher the key goes, as the ramp-up playstyle of Void Form requires the non-boss enemies to live longer than a few short seconds. Their cons is not as competitive of a DPS on the lower level keys due to the ramp-up playstyle, but if the key is high enough and gives the right group composition, this spec will rise to be one of the best ranged candidates this season. Their utilities are Power Infusion, Power Word Fortitude, Psychic Scream, Mind Soothe, Mass Dispel. Next is Fury Warrior. Fury Warrior received a ton of positive changes, a brand new hero talent, Slayer and Mountain Thane, and a new tier set. The 2-piece bonus will enable Bloodthirst to increase the damage of your next rampage by 10%. In addition, the 4-piece bonus will trigger once Raging Blow resets its cooldown to buff the next Bloodthirst by 10%, stacking up to 2 times. Fury Warrior is looking fantastic leading into the first season of the war. Then, not only do they have the strongest burst among all melee specs, but they also have a great sustained damage profile with several sets of offensive cooldowns. They allow for amazing front-load bursts across all key levels. Sadly, their M+ toolkit remains mostly the same, with Shockwave now being easier to talent, which can help with further mob control. Overall, we are happy to see the performance with Fury Warrior, from having short offensive cooldowns to amazing front-load burst, and the same time being on the easier specs to learn. It is a great pickup for the upcoming The War Within expansion. Cons: outside of their strong battle shout buff, their M plus toolkit is one of the weakest compared to the rest of the DPS specs. Basically saying the only utility they have for the group is battle shout. But their two core abilities are rallying cry and battle shout. That's two core utilities. That's so low. Destruction Warlock received a complete rework paired with two brand new hero talent choices, Hellcaller and Diabolist, and a new tier set. The two-piece will focus on Incinerate, increasing its crit strike by 20%, as well as increasing Conflagrate crit strike chance by 25%. In addition, the four-piece will offer Conflagrate crit strike to trigger 5% increased fire damage for 6 seconds. Destruction Warlock received quite a lot of attention leading to the first season of M+, going from the worst DPS to the best, to being nerfed and now considered for a mid-pick. Their AoE damage profile, especially during the major cooldown Summon Inferno, is still going to be their strongest asset. Single target and sustained damage are both going to be okay, and more in live with the rest of the specs. In addition, every Warlock spec is quite durable and has a party-wide utility which fits perfectly for M+. Their cons: the ramp-up time until they do effective damage is long, hence why higher keys that will perform better than low mid-level keys. Subtlety Rogue received minor changes in the War Within with two brand new but disappointing hero talents, Deathstalker and Trickster. And a new tier set, the two-piece allows Symbols of Death to increase the damage of the next Secret Technique by 20%, while the four-piece enables Secret Technique to increase the damage of any other finishing move by 16% for 7 seconds. Their cons are a lack of interesting hero talents that change the rotation gameplay and introduce a breath of freshness. There are still quite a few bugs surrounding that spec, making it harder to have an accurate picture of its true performance. Its utilities are weapon poisonings, gouge / airborne irritant, blind, kidney shot, sap, cheap shot, shiv, shroud of concealment, tricks of the trade, and distract. Arms Warrior received a healthy amount of changes through the alpha and beta cycles. Brand new hero talents, Slayer and Colossus, and a new tier set. The two-piece will enable Mortal Strike and Cleave to increase the damage of your next Overpower by 10%. The four-piece will trigger once Overpower has its cooldown reset by Tactician. The next Mortal Strike or Cleave has its damage increased by 10% and crit strike down to 10%, stacking up to 2 times. Its cons: outside of their battle shot buff, their M+ toolkit is one of the weakest of all DPS specs. Marksmanship Hunter has gotten a fair share of its changes, two brand new hero talents, Sentinel and Dark Ranger, and a brand new tier set. The two-piece will increase the damage of Arcane Shot and Multi-Shot by 20%, while the four-piece triggers once you consume precise shots, further increasing the damage of your next aimed shot by 10%, stacking up to 2 times. Its cons: lack of strong single target damage, perhaps further tuning focusing on this will bring the spec a lot closer to the top of the bracket. Their utility is Primal Rage, Hunter's Mark, Tar Trap, Tranquilizing Shot, and Freezing Trap. Havoc Demon Hunter received minor changes paired with two brand new hero talent choices, Arachi Reaver and Felsguard, and a new tier set. The two-piece will increase the damage of Blade Dance by 20%, while the four-piece enables Chaos Strike to deal 20% increased damage and have a 25% chance to reset the cooldown of Blade Dance. Their cons: the playstyle of Havoc Demon Hunter is still one of the most unenjoyable ones, even though their current performance is great. Their utility is Chaos Brand, Darkness, Fel Corruption. A Windwalker Monk received a complete overhaul leading into the War Within expansion, followed by two brand new hero talents, Conduit of the Celestials and Shadowpan. The two-piece will enable Tiger Palm to increase the damage of your next melee ability by 5%. In addition, the four-piece allows any other melee ability to increase the damage of your next Tiger Palm by 25%, stacking up to 6 times. 15% of Tiger Palm's damage is dealt by nearby enemies, reduced by beyond 5 targets. Their utility is Mystic Touch and Leg Sweep. And now, the lowest tier of DPS, which is good. which is Survival Hunter, received a massive number of changes, a brand new hero talent options, Pack Leader Sentinel, and a new tier set. The 2-piece increases your Wildfire Bomb damage by 5%, while the 4-piece boosts the damage of Raptor Strike by 10% if the targets are affected by Wildfire Bomb. Their utility is Primal Rage, Hunter's Mark, Tar Trap, and Tranquilizing Shot with Freezing Trap. Next is the Outlaw Rogue, which received a fair share of changes leading into the War Within, with 2 brand new yet disappointing hero talents, Fatebound and Trickster, and a new tier set. The 2-piece will enable Sinister Strike, Pistol Shot, and Ambush to have a 20% chance to trigger Ethereal Rampage, dealing 15% increased damage as a shadow. In addition, the 4-piece bonus Ethereal Rampage additionally increases the damage of your next between the eyes by 6%, stacking up to 3 times. Your cons: Outlaw Rogue will struggle in heavy AoE scenarios due to its damaged cap being present. In addition, the lack of strong burst profile can hurt on the low to mid-level keys. And their utilities are Weapon Poisonings, Gouge, Slash, Airborne, Air Tint, Blind, Kidney Shot, Sap, Cheap Shot, Shiv, Shot of Concealment, Trick of the Trade, and Distract. Devastation Evoker received a decent amount of changes leading to the War Within expansion, followed by 2 brand new hero talents, Flame Shaper and Scale Commander, and a new tier set. The 2-piece will increase the damage of Disintegrate and Pry by 10%, which the 4-piece will reduce the Eternity Surge's cooldown by 5 seconds, following it to grant Essence Burst. Their cons: having 25 yards as an offensive DPS is quite punishable. Further damage buffs are needed to strengthen your sustained profile damage profile. Their core utility is Blessing of the Bronze, Tail Swipe, Wing Buffet, Expunge. Fel Druid received a good amount of changes throughout the beta cycles, paired with 2 brand new hero talents, Druid of the Claw and Wild Stalker, and a new tier set. The 2-piece will enable Tiger's Fury to increase your chance to crit strike for 10 seconds, starting at 6% and increasing by 1% every 2 seconds. In addition, the 4-piece will trigger once you crit strike with your combo point, generating abilities to increase the damage of your next Ferocious Bite, Rampant Ferocity, and Primal Wrath by 15%, stacking up to 3 times. Their utility is Mark of the Wild and Tingling Roots. And last but not least, Beastmaster Hunter at the very bottom. They received a ton of changes leading to the War Within expansion, including brand new hero talents, Dark Ranger and Pack Leader, and a new tier set. The 2-piece bonus will allow Barb's Shot to further increase the pet's attack speed by 5%, while the 4-piece bonus will enable your pet's attacks to have a 10% chance to increase all pet damage you deal by 10% for 10 seconds. The cons is lack of raw consistent AoE damage. Pet interaction is still an issue. Given the fact that all of your damage comes from the pet attacks, it is something that should be permanently fixed. And their utilities are Primal Rage, Hunter's Mark, Tar Trap, Tranquilizing Shot, and Freezing Trap. And so that is all of the Mythic Plus DPS spec and the tier list, with the highest being Assassination Rogue and the lowest being Beastmaster Hunter. Now, as another reminder, no matter what I said through this whole video, it may help you choose something. But if you let's say you want to do Devastation Evoker, which is in 24th place, but someone says it's in low tier, that don't matter. As long as you're having fun in the game and you're being effective, then go right on ahead. But we're going to stop this video here. I'm going to make a separate video on tank tier set, which is not tank tier set, tank tier list and healer tier list for M+, and I may do later some videos about raids. But that's basically it. If you have any questions or concerns, please leave a comment down below, and please like and subscribe for more legendary content like this. And until next time, my fellow viewers.